That's what's going on. Did y'all see the interviews today? Sophie Cunningham just exposed Stephanie White. Flat out exposed her. This is wild, y'all. This is crazy.
Another video, and it looked like Sophie Cunningham has set the record straight about this Indiana Fever offense.
Sophie Cunningham just unleashed a truth bomb that's sending shockwaves through the entire Indiana Fever organization. She didn't hold back while calling out the broken offense and raising eyebrows at Stephanie White's coaching choices. What she exposed about Caitlin Clark's place in all of this is nothing short of stunning. And the timing, it couldn't be more disastrous for White's coaching future.
What's going on? I mean, I know what's going on. Stephanie White's a bum and needs to be fired. That's what's going on.
Do you think Sophie Cunningham was right to speak out publicly? Or was this something better kept behind closed doors? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because Sophie Cunningham just gave the most ruthless public critique of the Indiana Fever's coaching we've heard all season. And honestly, it felt like someone finally said what's been simmering under the surface. This wasn't a veiled comment or some careful, polished response. It was a direct hit on Stephanie White's offensive system and how it's completely letting Caitlin Clark down.
You guys are still experiencing some inconsistency, whether it be on and off the court. Obviously, rosters change too. Just what do you think going forward you guys need to do to get some consistency?
Man, I think that everyone saw that we kind of got some flow when Kate was hurt and our offense was clicking. But now we have to have a new offense when she's in there because she just brings that much to the game. And so we have to adjust. And I think...
Let's break down exactly what Sophie said, because every word hit with precision and weight. When asked about the team's inconsistency, she didn't sugarcoat a thing. She flat out said they need an entirely different offense when Clark is on the court. Not small fixes, not slight changes, a whole new system. That's basically telling your coach that everything they've built isn't working. But the most cutting part came when Sophie said, "We got some flow when Kate was hurt and our offense was clicking. But now we have to have a new offense when she's in there because she just brings that much." In plain terms, the motion offense only works when your star player's missing, but falls apart when she's actually in. Now that's a brutal coaching review.
I think all of us just want it now. We know what the potential of this team can be, but we can't think about that. You really have to take day to day and stuff that worked here, we need to carry it over to tomorrow's game. We have a lot of games coming up and I think like 7 days or whatnot. And so it's mentally making sure that we're good. It's physically making sure we're getting recovery, making sure we're taking care of our bodies off the court. But we're trying to figure it out. And I think you guys see it. I think we're all a little frustrated. We're trying to figure out what's clicking, what's not clicking, what works for us defensively. But at the end of the day, I think what we can hang our hat on is not getting outworked, making sure that we're the aggressors, making sure that we're getting boards, controlling what we can control. And I think we need to do a better job at that. And if we can do that, I think stuff offensively will open up for us.
This is the very same motion offense Stephanie White has been stubbornly pushing on this team all season long. The same system that turns Caitlin Clark into a spot-up shooter instead of letting her run the show like she's done her entire career. Sophie basically said what everyone's been thinking. Give the ball to Caitlin and let her cook. But what makes this even more compelling is that Sophie's not just some player venting. She's a veteran who's seen it all. She knows how teams work and understands the weight of calling out your coaches in public. So for her to speak this plainly, that tells you the frustration inside that locker room is boiling over. And the timing couldn't be worse for Stephanie White. The team just got humiliated by Golden State. They can't find rhythm. And now, one of their own is telling the world that the coaching system is broken. That's the kind of public blowback that ends coaching careers.
Will open up for us.
Do you feel like that's part of your role, I guess, when it comes to aggression, grit, things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's just making sure our energy is where it needs to be. It's making sure our focus is where it needs to be. I think we're all a little bit exhausted, but everyone is. We have a lot of games this season. That's part of being a pro. And what a blessing that we get to dribble an orange basketball for a living. And so sometimes it's taking a step back and having a better perspective and being grateful for it. But I think tomorrow night you're going to see a lot of fight. We're starting to get a little bit pissed off, and that's, I think, what we need. We need a fire under our butts, and we should have had yesterday. We have to give credit to them. They're a great team, the Valkyries, but it's not to our standard. And so we need to. We're running out of time, to be honest, and I think that it's going to light a fire under our butts. And so hopefully you'll see kind of that energy shift tomorrow.
Sophie's comment about needing to adjust when Clark is on the floor says more than it seems, because it exposes a deep flaw in White's entire approach. Instead of designing an offense around her star strengths, White has been jamming Clark into a system that strips away everything that makes her special. That's coaching malpractice. The read and react style Sophie hinted at? That's the exact kind of setup where Clark flourished at Iowa and during her best moments last season. It's an offense built for a point guard to control the game, reading defenses, making quick decisions, and setting up teammates. But White's motion system treats every player like they're on the same level when it comes to making plays. What makes this all the more frustrating is how obvious the solution seems. Clark thrives when she's pacing the game, finding shooters, and creating for herself and everyone around her. She's not a catch-and-shoot player darting off screens for a sliver of space. She's the engine, the one who should be in control. And Sophie admitting they play two entirely different styles depending on whether Clark's out there, that lays bare just how chaotic things have become. No professional team should have to flip their entire identity based on one player's availability. That screams of a system with no true offensive soul.
Runs, that's what's supposed to happen in a game, but how do you handle that? How can you mentally and physically manage that? And so I do think that's part of my role, is making sure that the team stays together, making sure that, you know, if we get a bad call or something bad happens, you come in, what are you going to do? What's the next play that we're going to do in order for us to get it back? And so we're trying to figure it out. We're all new. We have a new roster, but hopefully this one stays consistent.
The most revealing moment in Sophie's comments came when she talked about the team feeling a little frustrated, trying to figure out what's working and what isn't. That's quiet code for something louder. No one really knows what they are supposed to be doing. And when veteran players start publicly admitting that kind of confusion, that's not on them. That's a coaching issue. Sophie also said they are feeling a bit exhausted, even starting to get a little pissed off. And coming from someone as composed and steady as her, the kind of raw, honestest signals that the locker room's mood is unraveling fast. Players are confused, worn down, and losing belief in the system. But it's her comment about everyone wanting to finally see the team's potential that hits the hardest, because it means they know they are capable of more. They know what this team could be if the coaching truly brought the best out of them. Instead, they're stuck running in circles under a scheme that doesn't highlight their strengths. And with Sophie being one of the vocal leaders in that room, her words aren't just her own. She's likely speaking for much more than herself. Frustrations like these are rarely isolated. They're usually shared by multiple players. And when team leaders start calling out coaching in public, it's a sign the damage might be done. The fact that Sophie felt the need to speak this bluntly to the media says a lot. It suggests whatever's been said behind closed doors just isn't landing. Players don't usually air this kind of criticism unless they feel like no one's listening when it matters. What makes this even more devastating for Stephanie White is how pointed and clear Sophie's words are. She's not tossing out vague jabs about effort or accountability. She's naming real, structural flaws in how the offense is built. And that kind of feedback, that's what front offices pay close attention to. Because the motion offense White keeps pushing, it simply doesn't fit Clark's skill set, and that's a mismatch too big to ignore. Clark thrives when she's setting the pace, making decisions, and owning the game with the ball in her hands. She's not meant to be a complementary piece in someone else's puzzle. She's the engine that's supposed to drive the entire system. Sophie's call for the team to be more aggressive, that's not just about effort. It's a quiet critique of the coaching itself. Because real aggression comes from players who know their roles, who trust the structure around them. When there's confusion, players hesitate. They second guess, and that hesitation kills aggression. And then there's the mention of the team defending better when Clark was out. That's another subtle dig, not at Clark, but at the coaching staff. Sophie's not saying Clark can't defend. Professional teams are supposed to have systems that adjust seamlessly to personnel changes, not fall apart without them. And what makes this wave of public criticism so significant is the timing. This is the stretch of the season when teams should be locking in, not unraveling. The fact that veteran voices are openly questioning the coaching direction, that suggests cracks within the foundation, ones that may be beyond repair. Sophie's words aren't just about being frustrated with a few bad games. They point to something much deeper, a clash in vision about how this team should be built and led. And when players and coaches aren't aligned at that level, something usually has to break. The way Sophie stressed that Clark just brings that much to the offense is especially telling. It's a spotlight on how the staff has failed to unlock what makes her great. Instead of building around her gifts, they've tried to fit her into a mold that was never meant for her. And the fallout from that kind of mistake, it doesn't just affect the locker room. It shakes the entire organization. When veteran players start publicly questioning the coaching philosophy, it sends a shockwave straight to the front office, forcing them into a corner. They can back their coach, or they can back their players, but doing both? That's nearly impossible. Sophie's comment about the team having more flow when Clark was injured hits especially hard, because it implies the current system isn't just ineffective, it's actually holding back their most talented player. That's not just a coaching issue. That's organizational malpractice. Sophie clearly knows how her words might land, which is why she took a moment to say no one wants to see anyone hurt. This isn't about celebrating Clark's absence. It's about how broken the setup must be if her presence somehow makes things worse. And when you hear her talk about energy and effort being a problem, that's a red flag. Those are the symptoms you see when players no longer believe in what they are being asked to do, when confusion replaces confidence, and frustration drains the fight. That's a direct reflection of failed leadership. Sophie's remark about the team being a little bit pissed off cuts deep, because it shows this frustration isn't new. It's not about one ugly loss. It's the boiling point of months of deeper, structural problems. And when she spoke about tomorrow's game showing a lot of fight, that wasn't optimism. That was a signal. It means the players are ready to take control, even if it means going off script. When emotion starts replacing execution, it's a clear sign they've stopped believing in the game plan. And the way Sophie brought up the scheduling, that wasn't random. It exposed another layer, that this coaching staff hasn't prepared them for the grind of a professional season. Great coaches know how to manage energy and keep teams steady through the storms. This group, they are just hoping their players survive the chaos. That Sophie's emphasis on taking a step back and gaining perspective hints at something deeper. But the team's approach has become way too rigid, too overthought. Sometimes, the best basketball is the simplest kind. And under White's system, the Fever seem to have completely lost sight of that. The way Sophie spoke about her role in holding the team together, it says a lot. It reveals a leadership void where coaching is supposed to be. When players are the ones holding things together, guiding the ship, it usually means the coaches aren't steering it right. And the way she touched on both the mental and physical strain, that's a red flag, because it doesn't just point to tired legs, it points to deeper, systematic issues in how this team is being prepared, and how it's being taken care of when the wear and tear sets in. That's the kind of fundamental coaching failure that should never exist at the professional level. Sophie's point about building up consistent performances paints a bigger picture, a team stuck in a frustrating loop of one step forward, two steps back. And when that's the norm, it usually points to poor preparation and muddled messaging from the top. The way she kept saying they need to figure it out, that repetition wasn't random. It reveals a deeper truth. No one seems to truly know what their role is. That kind of uncertainty eats away at chemistry and slowly destroys confidence. And yet, what makes Sophie's criticism even more powerful is the way she delivered it. She didn't throw teammates under the bus. She didn't go for personal shots. Instead, she aimed her frustration at the system and the flaws holding this team back. Her concerns about the defense only add to the weight of her words. Because when a team is breaking down on both ends of the floor, that's not just a strategy issue. That's a full-scale failure in leadership. That Sophie's mention of the team being new, but needing to stay consistent, says a lot more than it seems. It shines a light on the coaching staff's failure to set clear expectations and build real standards. New teams crave structure. They need a steady voice, not confusion and contradiction. The way Sophie focused on effort and communication, that shows she knows exactly what good basketball should look like. And when your players understand the game's fundamentals better than your coaches, that's a flashing red warning sign. In just a few comments, Sophie Cunningham laid bare everything that's wrong with the Fever's coaching. And honestly, it was overdue. The motion offense, it's broken. She's being used the wrong way. And the players, they've had enough. This moment might be the start of the end for Stephanie White. What do you think happens next? Smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more WNBA breakdowns that keep it real.